It begins with a silence that feels heavier than words. Across small towns and major cities, from Washington's marble walls to rural post offices and airports, millions of Americans are caught in the same quiet uncertainty. Paychecks paused, projects suspended, futures on hold. What happens when the world's richest nation suddenly stops paying its own people? It's more than numbers and budgets. It's the sound of anxiety spreading across kitchen tables, of parents counting bills twice, of small business owners staring at half-filled order books. This is the reality of the 2025 United States government shutdown, which has grown into one of the longest and most consequential fiscal crises in the country's history. It started as a political standoff in Congress, but has since evolved into something far larger, a mirror reflecting the fragility of the American economy itself. Imagine waking up each morning not knowing if your paycheck will arrive, or if the government agency that approves your home loan, your passport, your research grant is even open. For more than 3 weeks now, hundreds of thousands of federal workers have been furloughed or forced to work without pay, while contractors, suppliers, and local businesses that depend on federal activity struggle to stay afloat. Economists estimate that every week of paralysis wipes billions off the nation's GDP, and every day of delay chips away at global confidence in the United States as a reliable economic anchor. It's not just Washington under stress. From construction sites in Texas to defense manufacturers in Ohio, from tech startups in California to cafeteria workers in Virginia, the ripple is everywhere, reminding the world that in today's economy, America's shutdown is everyone's slowdown. Even Wall Street can feel the tremors, markets that once relied on the stability of U.S. Treasury bonds now question whether the political deadlock may threaten their sanctity. The dollar weakens as traders hedge against political risk, while gold holds its position as investors' refuge in times of doubt. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve is left nearly blind, its data streams drying up as critical agencies close. Without this information, decisions on interest rates, inflation control, and credit stability become guesses in the dark. The longer the government remains offline, the greater the risk that uncertainty will transform into lasting economic scars. History shows that once trust in governance begins to erode, restoring it costs far more than any temporary budget deal could. And yet, beyond numbers, this is a story about people. The single mother in Maryland, the park ranger in Colorado, the veteran serving as a passport clerk in New York, all waiting, all watching the same headlines. Repeat. They've become symbols of a system that feels distant, even indifferent. After years of inflation, housing crises, and widening inequality, this shutdown feels like the breaking point for many families who already felt on the edge. There's frustration, but also fatigue, a collective sense that the very system built to support them has turned into something unpredictable and unstable. And behind every statistic lies an invisible human cost. Canceled doctor appointments, missed rent, delayed tuition payments. For millions, this is not a political argument, it's survival. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you work, the system keeps shifting the goalposts? That the forces deciding your future move behind closed doors while you're left to deal with the aftermath? Write in the comments, "I just want stability." Your story might help someone realize they're not alone. As the shutdown drags past its 3rd week, some economists fear the damage may soon become structural. If it stretches to 35 days, it could surpass the 2018 record, sending shockwaves through global markets tied to U.S. trade and debt. Already, America's debt has reached $38 trillion, a figure that signals not just excess, but imbalance. The irony is painful. While politicians argue about spending caps, the cost of inaction grows by the hour. Foreign investors are beginning to ask uncomfortable questions. If the United States can't manage its own budget, can it still lead a global economy? Meanwhile, households face rising borrowing costs, with credit tightening and savings shrinking under inflationary pressures. The shutdown, once domestic theater, now plays out on the world stage. But within this uncertainty lies a difficult kind of clarity. The shutdown reveals not only a political crisis, but an identity crisis. What kind of nation does America want to be? One led by short-term calculations, or one capable of collective sacrifice? Because somewhere beyond the congressional noise, amid the hum of silent corridors and frozen paychecks, there's still a quiet resilience. People adapting, helping neighbors, sharing food, holding on. Every previous shutdown has ended eventually, and each has forced painful but necessary conversations about priorities, unity, and reform. Perhaps this one, with all its disruption, will do the same. but only if its lessons are truly faced. If you've ever felt lost, trying to understand how these financial conflicts in Washington affect your everyday life, this channel is for you. We're building a community where information brings calm, not confusion. Here, understanding becomes empowerment. Subscribe, stay close, and let's face these changes together with awareness, empathy, and hope for a fairer economy that truly works for everyone.